This isn't just another business story. Nope, this is a modern-day epic about building a trillion-dollar empire from nothing, and then watching it almost get completely wiped out. Let's get right into the absolutely wild story of Alibaba. You know, to really understand how it all went so wrong, we actually have to start at the very top, at the absolute peak of Alibaba's power. Because trust me, the fall was every bit as spectacular as the rise. So picture this. It's 2014, and Alibaba launches the biggest IPO in history. We're talking $25 billion. It was insane. And its founder, a former English teacher named Jack Ma, he basically became a global celebrity overnight. But then, just a few short years later, the unthinkable happened. The company's stock value plummeted, losing 70% of its value from its peak. I mean, how does a company that seemed totally unstoppable collapse like that? And if that wasn't crazy enough, Jack Ma himself just vanished. After he gave a speech criticizing the Chinese government, he disappeared from public life for months. So the big question is, how did an empire this massive fall apart so fast? To get the answer, we gotta go all the way back to the beginning. All right, let's rewind the clock to 1999. Because before all the billions, before the global fame, the story of Alibaba starts with a simple idea in a tiny apartment. And a founder who was, let's be honest, the definition of an underdog. I mean, seriously, his early resume was just a list of rejections. He failed his university entrance exams twice. He got turned down for 30 different jobs. He even applied to KFC and was the only person they didn't hire. The guy ended up teaching English for just $15 a month. But then a trip to the US changes everything. He sees the internet for the very first time, and just for fun, he searches for the word beer, burnt. He found American beer, German beer, but not a single result from China. And that was it. That was the light bulb moment. He realized China, the factory of the entire world, was totally invisible online. So he goes back to his apartment, gets 17 of his friends together, and pitches this brilliant idea. It wasn't an online store, not yet. It was what we call a B2B, or business-to-business matchmaking platform. Think of it like a dating site, but for factories and buyers. Its only job was to connect Chinese manufacturers with businesses around the globe, and the process itself was just genius in its simplicity. Factories in China list what they make. Buyers from anywhere in the world browse those listings, and then they just contact each other directly to work out a deal. See, Alibaba didn't touch any of the money or the shipping, it just made the introduction. It solved a massive problem for everybody. But here's the thing. That B2B site wasn't really making much money. So in 2003, Jack Ma pivots. He launches a new site called Taobao, which was for regular consumers. And this put him on a collision course with the undisputed king of e-commerce at the time, eBay. Now eBay's strategy in China was pretty straightforward. They charged sellers a fee just to list their products. Ma did the exact opposite. He made Taobao completely free for sellers. eBay thought he was out of his mind, but Ma was playing chess, not checkers. He was building an audience, and he had an ace up his sleeve. And that secret weapon, that was Alipay. And look, it wasn't just some cool feature. Alipay was the engine that was going to solve the single biggest problem holding back all of e-commerce in China, a deep, profound lack of trust. Just think about it for a second. Back in 2003, Chinese shoppers were terrified of buying things online. They were absolutely convinced that if they sent money to some random person, they would never see their stuff and their money would just be gone forever. Alipay's solution was this beautifully simple escrow system. Here's how it worked. The buyer pays Alipay, not the seller. Alipay then holds onto that money, kind of like a neutral third party. The seller ships the goods, and only when you, the buyer, confirm that everything arrives safely does Alipay release the money to the seller. This simple idea built trust right into the transaction, and it completely unlocked the entire Chinese market. So Alipay was a massive runaway success. But as it got bigger and bigger, it started to change from a simple payment tool into something much larger and frankly a lot more threatening to the old way of doing things in China. It was about to go head-to-head with the state itself. You see, millions of people just started leaving their money inside their Alipay wallets. And Jack Ma realized, wait a second, I'm not just moving money around anymore. I'm sitting on a mountain of cash. So Alipay started to act like a bank, even launching its own financial products. The most popular product by far was this money market fund called Bao. And as you can see right here, it offered way better interest rates than the traditional state-owned banks. So naturally, hundreds of billions of dollars started pouring out of the state banking system and into Jack Ma's private one. And let me tell you, the government was not happy about that. And this is the exact moment it all came crashing down. In October 2020, just days before his huge financial company Ant Group was about to have its own record-breaking IPO, Ma gave a speech. And in that speech, he publicly trashed China's financial regulators, saying they had a pawn-shop mentality that was killing innovation. The payback from Beijing was swift, and it was brutal. Within days, the government slammed the brakes on that massive IPO. Then came a nearly $3 billion antitrust fine, and then Jack Ma was just gone, not seen in public for months. So what's the big lesson here? What are we supposed to take away from all this? Well, the story of Alibaba and Jack Ma, it really reveals the single most important unwritten rule of doing business in China. Look, Alibaba didn't succeed despite the government. It succeeded because the government allowed it to succeed. For as long as Jack Ma's empire was helping the Communist Party's goals, he was a national hero. But the second he publicly questioned their authority, he crossed a line you just can't cross. He forgot who was really in charge, and the consequences have been devastating. That explosive growth, it's gone. The stock is still down in the dumps. That big anti-PO is dead. Alipay is being forced to restructure, and Jack Ma himself has been pushed way into the background, basically serving as a warning to every other entrepreneur in China. And that leaves all of us with a really fundamental question. Jack Ma built one of the most incredible, innovative companies of our lifetime. But his story proves that in certain systems, all of that can be torn down because of a single speech. So what does that mean for the future of innovation when your success is always conditional? That is the powerful lesson from the empire Jack Ma built and almost lost.